Okay guys, this is the fourth video I've made in 12 hours. Everything keeps getting demonetized. So enjoy yet another bonus episode exclusive that I'm releasing to you guys. Eventually we'll be back up and running as usual again, but it's gonna take a few more days. Until then, enjoy The Woman in Blue. To begin, this story took place in Mexico, and it happened to my mother when she was 30 years old. We lived in a small town in the north of Mexico. My maternal grandmother lived about an hour away, and often we would go to visit her. On this particular summer day, there had been a party at my grandma's house, and we attended. We had been there all day, and by the time the party was over at around midnight, my mother was tired and ready to go to bed, so she suggested staying the night with our grandma. But my father, though he had a good time there, wasn't tired, and he wanted to go home. Reluctantly, my mother agreed. We all piled up into my dad's truck, which was a Tonka-style company truck. After we said our tired goodbyes, we were on our way home. The night was moonless and especially dark. The only light on the road was the light from the truck's headlights, cutting through the blackness like a knife. On either side of the road, there was nothing but emptiness. My sister and I, ages 2 and 3 respectively, were fast asleep and huddled together between my mom and my dad. We had been driving for about half an hour when suddenly my mom saw a figure on the passenger side of the road. According to my mother's account, it was a woman wearing a long pale blue dress that somehow seemed to be flowing in the windless night. A dress that seemed to be from a different time period. She seemed to have appeared from nowhere, and as we approached her, she began to cross into the path of the truck. My mom watched her and saw that the woman in blue was now standing in the middle of the road as the truck grew ever nearer. She then screamed for my dad to watch out, but it was too late. My mother felt a coldness enter her body as she felt the truck hit the woman in blue. My dad, seemingly unaware, suddenly stopped the truck at my mom screaming, asking my mom what was wrong. My mother was confused and said, "Didn't you see the woman?" My dad said no. My mother explained that she saw a woman in blue on the road, and that she was sure that we had just hit her. My dad, worried, quickly exited the truck and went out to investigate. To his relief, but not so much my mother's, there was no woman. Actually, there was nothing in the road at all. We hadn't hit anyone. My dad climbed back into the truck and told my mother that there was nothing outside, that she was probably just really exhausted. She asked him again if he was sure that he didn't see the woman, and he said definitely not. Since there was nothing left to do, my dad tried to start the truck back up to make it back home. But the truck now wouldn't start. It had completely died. My mother felt chilled and told my dad that the truck had died the moment we hit the woman in blue. Again, he explained that he hadn't seen anything, that there was nothing out there, and that the truck was probably just out of gas now. We were in the middle of the road, in the pitch black, in a broken down truck. My dad decided to walk to the next ranch, which was about 10 minutes away, to get gas and some help. My mom did not want him to go, but she also did not want to spend the rest of the night stranded in the middle of the road, with the woman in blue potentially waiting outside, somewhere unseen. My dad locked up the truck, and then he left to go get help. My mom remained and huddled in the cab with my sister and I, watching nervously. But the only sounds were the sounds of our snoring and the distant howling of coyotes. My mom says she was very afraid. She didn't know how she was going to survive until my dad got back. She says that it was the most afraid she's ever been. Suddenly, not 5 minutes after he left, my dad came back with a friend that was driving into my grandmother's town. Perfect timing. They picked us up, leaving the truck in the road for later. My mother has never forgotten that night, or forgotten that she was the only one that saw the woman in blue. She says she'll never forget how she felt, the coldness in her chest, as our truck impossibly ran through the woman. To this very day, my mom is sure she saw the ghost of a woman on that dark road, on that dark night, and she hopes she never runs into her again.